My dear brothers and sisters, let me speak to you from the heart. December arrives every year whether we are ready or not. The lights go up, the music gets louder, the pressure increases, and suddenly you feel like you are swimming against a current you did not choose. You walk into work, school, shops, social spaces, and everywhere you turn there is a celebration that is not yours. And quietly, without anyone saying it out loud, the question creeps into your heart: how do I stay firm without becoming bitter? And how do I stay kind without losing myself? This reminder is for you, not to attack anyone, not to argue beliefs, not to judge, but to help you stay grounded, calm, confident, and connected to Allah while the world around you moves in a different rhythm. 1. Your identity is a gift, not a burden. My dear brothers and sisters, being Muslim in December is not a punishment from Allah, and it is not a mistake in your destiny. It is a test of clarity. Allah chose you deliberately. He chose your heart, your time, your place, and your circumstances. If He wanted you hidden from challenge, He could have placed you elsewhere, but He did not. He placed you where your faith would be seen, felt, and refined. Many people silently struggle at this time of year because they think something is wrong with them for feeling different. They see decorations, gatherings, songs, and traditions that do not belong to them, and slowly Shaitan whispers that maybe blending in would be easier. Maybe being quieter about faith would reduce the discomfort. Maybe compromising a little would make life smoother. That whisper is not new, and it is not harmless. Allah never asked you to dissolve your identity to survive. He asked you to carry it with dignity. When you understand that your faith is a gift, everything changes. A gift is not something you hide in shame. A gift is not something you apologize for. A gift is something you protect, even when others around you do not understand its value. Guidance is rare. Clarity is rare. Knowing why you exist is rare. Most of the world is moving, celebrating, consuming, and distracting itself without ever asking the deeper questions. Allah answered those questions for you through Islam. You are not lost because you do not blend in. You are guided because you know who you are. There is a difference between loneliness and clarity. Loneliness feels heavy and empty. Clarity feels quiet but strong. In December, many Muslims confuse the two. They feel surrounded by things that do not represent them and assume they are lacking. In reality, they are simply standing still in a world that is rushing in a different direction. A tree does not feel insecure because it does not move like the wind. It is rooted, and because it is rooted, it survives every season. My dear brothers and sisters, insecurity often comes from needing approval. When your sense of worth comes from Allah, you stop chasing validation from people. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop trying to prove that you belong. You already belong, not to a season, not to a culture, but to a purpose. This is why a Muslim who understands their identity does not need to shout, argue, or constantly defend themselves. Their calm confidence speaks for them. Their behavior is consistent. Their values are steady. They are not shaken by trends, pressure, or social moods. Islam does not teach us to be angry at difference, nor does it teach us to dissolve into it. It teaches us balance. You can walk through December with kindness without confusion. You can be present in society without being absorbed by it. You can respect others without borrowing an identity that was never yours. Many people think strength looks loud. In reality, strength often looks quiet. It looks like politely declining without guilt. It looks like holding your boundaries without explaining them every time. It looks like being comfortable with being different without feeling superior or inferior. Allah does not measure you by how well you fit in. He measures you by how well you stand firm. Remember this, my dear brothers and sisters. Your faith is not fragile. It does not need constant protection through fear. It needs understanding. When you understand why you believe what you believe, pressure loses its power over you. Confusion fades. Resentment disappears. What remains is peace. Peace does not come from matching the world. It comes from alignment with Allah. December will test many hearts, not because it is evil, but because it is loud. Loud seasons expose quiet weaknesses and quiet strengths. If you feel uncomfortable, do not panic. Sit with the feeling. Ask yourself what it is teaching you. Very often, it is reminding you that your identity is alive. And that is a blessing. Allah did not give you Islam to burden you. He gave it to anchor you. He gave it to give your life meaning beyond moments and seasons. When everything around you changes, trends, holidays, opinions, emotions, Islam remains steady. That steadiness is mercy. So walk through this month with your head held high and your heart humble. You do not need to announce who you are to everyone, but you should never forget it yourself. When you carry your faith with dignity, you become a source of quiet strength, not just for yourself, but for others who are searching and do not even know it yet. Your identity is not a burden you carry through December. It is the light that helps you walk through it without losing yourself. Dua. Respect does not require imitation. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest confusions Muslims face during December is the belief that respect means imitation. This confusion creates unnecessary pressure, guilt, and inner conflict. People begin to feel that if they do not participate, they are being rude, harsh, or closed-minded. That is not true, and Islam never taught us that. Respect in Islam is rooted in character, not copying. It is rooted in manners, honesty, and kindness, not in adopting practices that do not belong to us. Allah did not create us to be mirrors of one another. He created us to coexist with clarity. When you understand this, a great weight lifts from your heart. You realize that you do not need to prove your kindness by erasing your boundaries. You do not need to blur your beliefs to appear polite. You can be firm without being harsh and gentle without being confused. Many Muslims struggle in this season because they feel trapped between two extremes. On one side, they fear being seen as intolerant. On the other side, they fear displeasing Allah. This inner tug of war creates anxiety. But Islam does not place us in impossible positions. It gives us a middle path. You can greet people warmly, you can speak kindly, you can show appreciation, professionalism, and goodwill. You can smile, assist, and support others. None of this requires you to adopt religious practices or celebrations that conflict with your beliefs. Respect is about how you treat people, not about what rituals you perform. When you imitate in order to be accepted, something dangerous happens inside the heart. Slowly, identity begins to soften, boundaries begin to blur. What once felt clearly separate starts to feel negotiable. Shaitan does not push people off cliffs. He leads them down gentle slopes. Islam protects us from this by teaching us self-respect before social approval. My dear brothers and sisters, when you are secure in who you are, you do not feel the need to explain yourself every time. A calm refusal is enough. A polite decline is enough. You do not owe everyone a theological lecture, nor do you owe them participation. Your dignity lies in consistency, not in performance. Look at the example of the Prophet. He lived among people of different beliefs, customs, and traditions. He did not imitate them to gain acceptance, nor did he insult them to assert dominance. His clarity made his respect meaningful. People trusted him because he was honest about who he was. Today, many Muslims fear being misunderstood more than they fear losing themselves. That fear leads to silent compromises that slowly drain the heart. Understand this clearly. Anyone who only respects you when you imitate them does not truly respect you. Real respect allows difference to exist without pressure. This is especially important for Muslims living in the US, the UK, and other plural societies. You are not visitors. You are part of the society, and part of society means contribution, not disappearance. You bring values, ethics, and perspective. You are not required to dissolve into the crowd to belong. Belonging does not come from imitation. It comes from contribution with integrity. Some people worry that by not participating, they will seem cold or distant. But character always speaks louder than rituals. When people see honesty, reliability, kindness, and humility, they respect it even if they do not share it. Many will quietly admire the strength it takes to remain grounded. And those who mock or pressure you were never satisfied to begin with. My dear brothers and sisters, Islam never asked you to isolate yourself from society. It asked you to navigate it with awareness. There is a difference between presence and participation. You can be present in workplaces, schools, families and communities without absorbing every practice around you. When your heart is clear, your actions become simple. You do not feel defensive. You do not feel superior. You do not feel ashamed. You simply live as a Muslim who knows where they stand. Remember this. Respect that costs you your identity is too expensive. Allah honored you with Islam so that you would stand upright, not bend until you break. When you respect others for who they are while remaining honest about who you are, you embody the balance Islam teaches. December will test this balance, but it will also strengthen it. Every time you choose clarity over confusion, you grow stronger. Every time you choose dignity over imitation, your faith deepens. Every time you choose kindness without compromise, you walk closer to the character Allah loves. So walk gently, my dear brothers and sisters, but walk firmly. Let your respect be sincere and your boundaries be clear. You do not need to borrow anyone else's celebration to prove your humanity. Your values already speak for you. 3. Pressure is not a sign of weak faith. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most damaging thoughts that enters the heart during this season is the idea that feeling uncomfortable means something is wrong with your Iman. This is a misunderstanding that causes unnecessary guilt and self-judgment. Let me be very clear with you. Pressure is not proof of weak faith. In many cases, pressure is proof of awareness. A person who has no values feels no tension. A person who stands for nothing feels no resistance. But when you carry faith, principles and purpose, you will naturally feel pressure when the environment around you moves in a different direction. That pressure does not mean your faith is failing. It means your heart is alive. Even the strongest believers feel the weight of social expectations. You are human. You live in society. You interact with people daily. To pretend that none of this affects you would be unrealistic. Islam does not ask you to be emotionless. It asks you to be conscious. Shaitan uses this pressure cleverly. He whispers, if your faith was strong, this wouldn't bother you. That whisper is a lie. The discomfort you feel is not a weakness to be ashamed of. It is a signal that your heart is trying to protect something valuable. Think about it carefully. When does pressure actually feel strongest? It is strongest when you are trying to do the right thing quietly, when you are resisting without drama, when you are holding firm without announcing it. That is when the internal struggle becomes intense. And that struggle, my dear brothers and sisters, is part of faith. Islam never promised that holding on to guidance would always feel easy. In fact, Allah tells us that belief will be tested. Tests do not come to destroy you. They come to reveal what is inside you and to strengthen it. Many Muslims make the mistake of fighting pressure emotionally instead of understanding it spiritually. They become frustrated with themselves. They ask, why do I feel awkward? Why do I feel left out? Why does this affect me? These questions, when asked without wisdom, lead to self-criticism. But when asked honestly, they lead to growth. Pressure is a reminder that you are choosing consciously, not drifting. The world around you flows automatically. People celebrate because it is expected. They participate because it is normal. You, however, are choosing restraint. You are choosing awareness. Choice always comes with effort, and effort is not failure. My dear brothers and sisters, there is a difference between doubt and discomfort. Doubt questions belief. Discomfort tests patience. Feeling pressure does not mean you are doubting Islam. It means you are navigating reality with faith intact. Look at how pressure works in other areas of life. Muscles grow under resistance. Diamonds form under pressure. Without pressure, there is no strength. Without resistance, there is no development. Why would faith be any different? If you feel this season pushing against your heart, do not panic. Do not label yourself as weak. Pause and ask Allah for steadiness. Say, oh Allah, you see my situation. You know my environment. Keep my heart firm. That dua alone transforms pressure into connection. Another mistake people make is isolating themselves emotionally because they think struggling means they are alone. You are not alone. Many believers around the world feel exactly what you feel, even if no one speaks about it openly. Silence does not mean absence. It means quiet endurance. Islam honors that endurance. My dear brothers and sisters, pressure only becomes dangerous when it pushes you toward resentment or compromise. But when it pushes you toward reflection, prayer and gratitude for guidance, it becomes a blessing in disguise. Do not let pressure harden your heart. Let it soften you toward Allah. Let it remind you that faith is not just something you say, it is something you live through moments like these. And remember this deeply. A faith that has never been tested is a faith that has never been trusted. Allah tests those He wants to elevate, not those He wants to abandon. If you are feeling the weight, it is because Allah sees potential in you to carry it. So be gentle with yourself. Do not measure your iman by how comfortable you feel in every situation. Measure it by how sincerely you turn back to Allah when things feel uncomfortable. This season will pass. The pressure will ease. What will remain is the strength you gained by not running from it. And that strength, my dear brothers and sisters, is a sign of living faith, not a weak one. And 4, your daily connection to Allah is your anchor. My dear brothers and sisters, when everything around you feels loud, fast, and overwhelming, the greatest mistake you can make is to try to fight the noise with more noise. Islam does not teach us to chase chaos. It teaches us to anchor ourselves. And that anchor is your daily connection with Allah. Many people think spiritual strength comes from big moments, powerful speeches, or emotional reminders. In reality, strength is built quietly, consistently, and privately. It is built in the moments no one sees. A heart that is connected to Allah daily does not collapse when the environment shifts. It adjusts, but it does not break. December exposes this reality very clearly. When routines are disrupted, schedules change, and social pressure increases, people suddenly realize how fragile their spiritual habits were. Salah becomes rushed, dua becomes occasional, remembrance becomes something postponed. Then, when the heart feels unsettled, people wonder why. Allah never disconnected from you. The connection weakened because it was not maintained. My dear brothers and sisters, prayer is not just an obligation you check off a list. It is a meeting with the one who controls everything that makes you anxious. When you stand before Allah regularly, you remind your heart who is in charge. You remind yourself that no season, no social expectation, and no external pressure has authority over your soul. A person who prays with presence walks differently into the world. Their reactions slow down. Their emotions settle. Their decisions are not driven by urgency or fear. Salah grounds you because it recenters your life around purpose instead of pressure. Dua works the same way. Dua is not a last resort when things fall apart. It is daily maintenance for the heart. When you speak to Allah consistently, even in simple words, you unload what the world keeps piling onto you. You do not carry it alone. You place it where it belongs. Some people say, I don't feel anything when I pray. That does not mean prayer is failing. It means the heart needs patience. Connection is not always emotional. Sometimes it is stabilizing. Sometimes it is protective. Sometimes it is quietly repairing damage you do not even realize has formed. Remembrance of Allah, even briefly, has power beyond what we imagine. A few moments of dhikr in the morning, a few moments before sleep, a quiet acknowledgement of Allah between tasks. These small acts build a barrier inside the heart. The noise reaches you, but it does not enter you. Without this connection, people start absorbing the environment without realizing it. They begin to feel drained, irritable, confused, and restless. They mistake the spiritual hunger for boredom or dissatisfaction. In reality, the heart is calling for nourishment. My dear brothers and sisters, anchoring yourself to Allah does not require isolation from society. It requires intention within society. You do not need to escape the world. You need to carry Allah into your day consciously. When you wake up with remembrance, the day does not own you. When you pause for prayer, the world slows down for you. When you end your day with gratitude, anxiety loses its grip. This is why people who protect their connection with Allah feel grounded even when life is unstable. They still experience stress, but it does not control them. They still feel pressure, but it does not define them. Their hearts know where home is. December will test your schedule. It will test your focus. It will test your patience. That is exactly why your connection with Allah must be intentional, not automatic. Do not wait to feel spiritual to pray. Pray to stay spiritual. If you neglect the anchor, the waves will move you wherever they want. But if you hold onto Allah daily, no season will pull you away from yourself. So my dear brothers and sisters, return to the basics. Protect your prayers. Speak to Allah often. Remember Him quietly. These are not small acts. They are lifelines. When your connection with Allah is strong, the world may be loud, but your heart will remain steady. And that steadiness is what allows you to walk through every season without losing your direction. 1-5. You represent Islam even when you are quiet. My dear brothers and sisters, many people think representation only happens when you speak, debate, or explain yourself. They believe that if they are not correcting others or making statements, they are somehow failing Islam. This misunderstanding creates pressure and exhaustion. Islam was never meant to turn you into a walking argument. Very often, the strongest representation of Islam happens when you say very little. You represent Islam in how you show up to work on time. You represent Islam in how you speak when you are frustrated. You represent Islam in how you treat people who disagree with you. You represent Islam when you hold your boundaries calmly, without sarcasm, without anger, and without superiority. Character speaks before words ever do. During December, Muslims often feel watched, even when they are not. This can make people either defensive or withdrawn. Both reactions come from the same place, fear of judgment. But when your intention is clear, fear loses its power. You are not living to impress people, you are living to please Allah. The Prophet did not convince people with constant explanations. He convinced them with trustworthiness, patience, and consistency. People observed him before they listened to him. They saw how he behaved under pressure, how he treated others, how he responded to discomfort. His silence often taught more than his speech. My dear brothers and sisters, silence does not mean weakness. Silence with integrity is strength. It takes far more control to remain composed than to react emotionally. When you decline something politely and move on without making a scene, you show confidence. When you maintain professionalism while others cross lines, you show discipline. When you remain kind without needing validation, you show depth. Many people are quietly watching how you carry yourself, especially when you are different. They may never say it out loud, but they notice. They notice that you are steady. They notice that you are respectful. They notice that you do not need to imitate others to feel included. This plants seeds that arguments never could. Islam does not need loud defenders with weak character. It needs grounded believers with strong character. Some Muslims feel pressure to overcompensate during this season. They laugh harder, participate more, and blur boundaries because they want to appear easygoing. Others become cold and distant, believing withdrawal protects faith. Both approaches miss the balance. Islam teaches presence without compromise. You do not need to perform your faith for anyone. You need to live it sincerely. When you act with honesty, patience, and humility, you become a reference point. People may not ask questions today, but tomorrow when they are searching, they remember who carried themselves with dignity. They remember who did not mock, did not judge, and did not compromise. My dear brothers and sisters, remember that Allah sees representation differently than people do. Allah looks at intention, Allah looks at consistency, Allah looks at restraint. A single moment of patience for His sake can outweigh 1,000 loud statements made for attention. Do not underestimate the power of quiet integrity. In a world that demands constant expression, restraint becomes remarkable. In a season that celebrates excess, moderation becomes noticeable. In environments that reward conformity, clarity becomes rare. This is why being a Muslim in December is not about proving anything. It is about embodying something. You carry values wherever you go, whether you speak or remain silent. You show people what it means to live with principles without hostility. And when you represent Islam in this way, you protect your heart from arrogance and resentment. You do not see yourself as above others, nor do you feel beneath them. You simply stand where Allah placed you, firm and calm. So my dear brothers and sisters, do not feel pressured to constantly explain or defend. Let your manners speak, let your patience speak, let your consistency speak. Islam does not need to be shouted to be seen. Sometimes it is felt most strongly in the quiet dignity of a believer who knows exactly who they are. 6.